become clear? Are we ready to commit our entire self, intellect and will, mind and heart, to God? Do we accept the truth Christ reveals? Is the faith tangible in our universities and schools? Is it given fervent expression liturgically, sacramentally, through prayer, acts of charity, a concern for justice, and respect for God's creation? Only in this way do we really bear witness to the meaning of who we are and what we uphold. From this perspective, one can recognize that the contemporary crisis of truth is rooted in a crisis of faith. Only through faith can we freely give our assent to God's testimony and acknowledge Him as a transcendent guarantor of the truth He reveals. Again, we see why fostering personal intimacy with Jesus Christ and communal witness to His loving truth is indispensable in Catholic institutions of learning. Yet we all know and observe with concern the difficulty or reluctance many people have today in entrusting themselves to God. It is a complex phenomenon and one which I ponder continually. While we have sought diligently to engage the intellect of our young, perhaps we have neglected the will. Subsequently, we observe with distress the notion of freedom being distorted. Freedom is not an opting out. It is an opting in, a participation in being itself. Hence, authentic freedom can never be attained by turning away from God. Such a choice would ultimately disregard the very truth we need in order to understand ourselves. A particular responsibility, therefore, for each of you and your colleagues is to evoke among the young the desire for the act of faith, encouraging them to commit themselves to ecclesial life that follows from this belief. It is here that freedom reaches the certainty of truth. In choosing to live by that truth, we embrace the fullness of the life of faith which is given to us in the Church. Clearly, then, Catholic identity is not dependent upon statistics. Neither can it be equated with simply this orthodoxy of course content. It demands and inspires much more, namely that each and every aspect of your learning communities reverberates within the ecclesial life of faith. Only in faith can truth become incarnate and reason truly human, capable of directing the will along the path of freedom. In this way, our institutions make a vital contribution to the mission of the Church and truly serve society. They become places in which God's active presence in human affairs is recognized, in which every young person discovers the joy of entering into Christ's being for others. The Church's primary mission of evangelization, in which educational institutions play a crucial role, is concerned with the nation's fundamental aspiration to develop a society truly worthy of the human person's dignity. At times, however, the value of the Church's contribution to the public forum is questioned. It is important, therefore, to recall that the truths of faith and of reason never contradict one another. The Church's mission, in fact, involves her in humanity's struggle to arrive at truth. In articulating revealed truth, she serves all members of society by purifying reason, ensuring that it remains open to the consideration of ultimate truths. Drawing upon divine wisdom, she sheds light on the foundation of human morality and ethics, and reminds all groups in society that is not praxis that creates truth, but truth that should serve as the basis of praxis. Far from undermining the tolerance of legitimate diversity, such a contribution illuminates the very truth which makes consensus attainable and helps to keep public debate rational, honest, and accountable. Similarly, the Church never tires of upholding the essential moral categories of right and wrong, without which hope could only wither, giving way to cold pragmatic calculations of utility, which renders a person little more than a pawn of some ideological chessboard. With regard to the educational forum, the diaconia of truth takes on a heightened significance in societies where secularist ideology drives a wedge between truth and faith. This division has led to a tendency to equate truth with knowledge and to adopt a positivistic mentality, which in rejecting metaphysics denies the foundations of faith and rejects the need for a moral vision. Truth means more than knowledge. Knowing the truth lets us to discover the good. Truth speaks to the individual in his or her entirety, inviting us to respond with our whole being. This optimistic vision is found in our Christian faith because such faith has been granted the vision of the Logos, God's creative reason, which in the Incarnation is revealed as goodness itself. Far from being just a communication of factual data, informative, the loving truth of the gospel is creative and life-changing, performative. With confidence, Christian educators can liberate the young from the limits of positivism and awaken receptivity to the truth, to God and His goodness. In this way you will also help to form their conscience, which, enriched by faith, opens a sure path to inner peace and to respect for others. It comes as no surprise that not just our own ecclesial communities, but society in general, has high expectations of Catholic educators. This places upon you a responsibility and offers an opportunity. More and more people, parents in particular, recognize the need for excellence in the human formation of their children. As Mater et Magistra, the Church shares their concern. When nothing beyond the individual is recognized as definitive, the ultimate criterion of judgment becomes the self and the satisfaction of the individual's immediate wishes. The objectivity and perspective, which can only come through recognition of the essential transcendent dimension of the human person, can be lost. Within such a relativistic horizon, as the goals of education are inevitably curtailed. Slowly, a lowering of